Good evening, greetings of peace, and welcome to this evening's session. A beautiful topic, mood over matter, with Brother Shantanu. Hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Such a beautiful name, Shantanu. Okay, so without further ado, I want to read Brother's biography. And when I went through it, a couple of good times, and I found it so interesting, and the amount of work he's done, especially in the youth area, And yeah, so let me go through this very quickly, and thereafter I will hand over to Brother. I want you to relax and enjoy this evening's session, and at the end of his talk, we'll open up for questions and answers. So sit back and relax. So let me go through his biography. Shantanu calls the entire planet his home and is based in Mount Abu, Rajasthan, India. He lives within the community of Brahma Kumaris, a social spiritual organization based in Mount Abu. Born and brought up in India, Shantanu has great humanitarian values, spirituality, and eco-friendly traditions. He was introduced to transcendental meditation and Raj Yoga meditation in his childhood. Since then, it has been 20 years of him practicing Raj Yoga. Academically, a very bright scholar, he did his graduation in fashion design from the prestigious National Institute of Fashion Technology, Kolkata, with an award for Most Innovative Design Collection for year 2012, and was an exchange student to Modat International, that's based in Paris. He also holds a second bachelor's degree in fine arts. After a brief experience in fashion business, he shifted into teaching design and fashion in many reputed universities of design as a guest lecturer. His environmental inclination helped him with designing special course structures that are focused on upcycling, recycling, and deconstruction. He has also been in the media for almost 9 years, and his specialty is concept designing and story narrations. His personal journey with the environment started in 2015 when he became a vegan. Within a few months, he found himself engaged in climate activities. He was the rapporteur for the Conference of Youth that's based in Paris and helped develop the Youth Manifesto. Also participated and facilitated as mentor in the local Conference of Youth and organized the 2019 Conference of Youth in India. A BA delegate to the UNCCD, which actually stands for the United Nations Framework Concentration on Climate Change, COP14. He was also a key member in the Youth Desertification Forum at the UNCCD COP14, New Delhi, India. He was one out of 7 youths to be funded by the UNFCCC for COP25 in Madrid 2019. And at present, he is the youth rep for Brahma Kumaris to UNEP, which is the United Nations Environment Program, CYMG, member Yango. He is a mentor in the Climate Ambassadors Program of Care About Climate organization. He is one of the steering committee members in the CYMG, looking into the thematics of environment and faith. And we go on. His main area of work is being benevolent, holistic activism with a shift in consciousness, as he believes that consciousness and climate are deeply connected. Serving in the field of education, awareness, well-being, and youth. is most passionate about connecting values and their applications. He lives a lifestyle that is very close to nature and more sustainable. An inner shift in consciousness can help us look into solutions because the same consciousness that was responsible for the problems can't be bringing out solutions. So beautifully said. And one of his strongest beliefs are reflected in the statement, simplicity is kindness. Brother Shantanu, I hand over to you. Such a beautiful resume, really touched me. And yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Brother Jaggi. I don't know if I pronounced it right, but I hope you will excuse me. How do you pronounce your name? Jaggi?
Jaggi is fine.
Okay, good. So thank you so much, Jaggi. If I knew that you would be reading it all, I would have kept it very short. I'm so sorry. But that was a
But
general
it
resume
was
that I
so
send everywhere.
interesting. I don't want to leave out anything.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the warm welcome. And I think uh, when you talk about yourself, sometimes you just talk and you forget what you have said. But while you were reading, it gave me an opportunity to reflect on some of the words that were mentioned there. And one thing that really resonated with me in one of the sentences that you read was that the consciousness in which I am living is quite decidal in the factor whether I'll be able to achieve certain things that I'm looking up to. So the mindset which has been the reason for a problem cannot be the same mindset to achieve a solution for it. So you have to come out of it. And I think this statement is something that was said by Albert Einstein, that the mindset that I am living in and creating a problem around me cannot be the same mindset to create a solution for that problem. So because we had a beautiful topic called mood over matter, I would like to connect these aspects. Probably we would, in this 1 hour, we would like to see what mood is, how it impacts matter, and what impacts which one. And we would also probably discover a way to strike a fine balance between the two so that the life that we are designing should be a very harmonious one. But to begin, I would request you all to just for a few moments close your eyes. You may not choose to close your eyes, but can do this visual activity and just try to rewind your entire day today. From morning until now, you have been doing so many things. You have been trying to achieve so many things. You met so many people. Probably you didn't meet so many, but whoever you met, you had a conversation with. You achieved certain tasks that you prescribed for yourself last night, and certain things came up which you were not expecting. Now, in this entire journey of a day, like an observer, can you figure out what was the major experience of the day? What was the major experience of the day? It could be a mixed one. It could be between white and black. It could be a big scale. But if you have to name it, how would you name your entire experience of the day-to-day life? What was your overall experience of the day? You can write it on the chat. I can read and I would understand that the question was put to you properly. And so for me, the entire day was uh, quite occupied. However, even though the day was quite occupied, I didn't feel lost. I could navigate myself very well. What about you all? So Visualize your day and and try to coin a word, a term to that experience. Now, why coining one word or term is important? Because sometimes there is this cumulative experience, which is average of a lot of good, some bad, or a lot of bad, some good. And so we tend to pick incidents, we tend to pick moments, and we tend to pick experiences. But those experiences were not really responsible on themselves. They were there because of some past cursors. We can call them precursors. So, to understand this process, if we can acknowledge what it was, yes, somebody has written it was busy but very pleasant, including visit to the doctor was pleasant, generally very pleasant. So, you see, when you are trying to coin it, this is a very good example where you try to name or create a name around your experience. You would come across a lot of experiences, but the one name that you pick, that you choose, is the deciding factor for your next day. For example, this person who has said that it was a busy day, however, it was pleasant. So now what would happen for this particular person? That person will not be afraid of looking up to another busy day, because at the end of the day, they knew that overall experience was pleasant. But how about if the overall experience is busy but also not pleasant? Then probably we would not like to go into that experience again. So, what is happening is, by naming the feeling, by naming that experience, we are able to recognize it if it happens again or if we want to create it again. So, naming is a very important aspect of recognizing what we are going through and transforming it if we want to transform it. Unless and until we recognize it, we can't transform it. And to recognize it, we have to recognize and name it, because naming simplifies the process. And as simple as the process, more impactful would be my effort making. And so when I was looking into this topic of mood over matter, I realized there are two words here which are the deciding words. One is mood and another is matter. Now, whether mood is over matter or matter is over mood, that is for us to establish. Someday it would be mood over matter, someday it would be matter over mood. But what is that I want to achieve in this process is something that I would have to decide. So, what is mood? Mood is basically a state of mind whereby that state of mind is created by a collection of thoughts, a collection of feelings, a collection of emotions, collection of experiences, reactions, responses. So when I collect all these together and start spending a good amount of time into it, that starts to become my mood. So mood, if I have to give you an example, it would be more like a box that has a Lego box, and different Legos are the different thoughts, the different kind of feelings, the different kinds of experiences that I bring, and I conjoin them together and I construct a box, and that is the mood. So it's a state of being, it's a state of mind. And that's why we often say he's not in a good mood, or he's in a very good mood, in a good mood. So when we are using the expression in, it means it is a surrounding. It means it is an envelope inside which I am there. So it is the atmosphere around the spirit. It is the atmosphere around me, or it is the box around me which I have created within my own feelings, within my own experiences and thoughts. So when I say I am in a certain mood, I am trying to say that I have created this mood around me, to put it in a very simple way. There are many types of mood, but generally it is said that we have a range of 8 moods. You know, 4 of them are not very good ones, and the 4 of them are quite good ones. If you know some of them, you can write it on the chat box and I can probably read it, so that it's not just me talking, but also you are participating in it. So do you know which are these 8 moods? There can be many moods, but as I said, these are the 8 key phases of mood that we can recognize as. For example, you can have a mood which is happy and cheerful. So cheerfulness can be a mood, excited can be another mood, and you can be relaxed and calm. That is also one mood. It could be carefree and peaceful. So these are some of the positive or pleasant moods. And then there are certain unpleasant moods, like tensed or nervous or irritated or frustrated or annoyed. And then you have uh, bored, like nothing is moving much, so you are quite stagnant at a point and quite stale, so it's bored. And then you have something as gloomy, sad. So these are some of the moods that you might recognize that we all must have gone through sometime. uh, we might go even today. My question to you would be, out of all these moods, which one you have been experiencing the most? And it could be a answer which you don't need to share, but if you want to share, you can share. But the idea is, if I know which amongst these is the one that I spend my maximum time or invest my time and energy into, I would say that investment is going to make a difference. So whether I'm investing in a pleasant mood or whether I'm investing in an unpleasant mood is going to bring an output of my investment, and that output would be more of that. There is this very famous story of the two foxes. It's a very folklore of the Native Americans, where a grandfather is sharing a story with the grandchild, and he says, my child, there are these two wolves inside us which keep fighting. There's one wolf which is of positivity, peace, calm, love, kindness, generosity, forgiveness, sweetness, humility, gratefulness. And then there is this another fox which depicts anger, anxiety, hatred, jealousy, ego, frustration, and so many more negative feelings. And they are constantly fighting, constantly fighting. So the child asks in astonishment, but grandpa, which one wins ultimately? And the grandpa says, the one you feed. So the fox that I keep feeding grows more strong, more strong, more strong, and ultimately wins. So that is what the investment I meant earlier. So the time and the amount of energy I'm investing in a certain group of moods is going to result in some kind of feelings for me. So I have to be very, very clean and honest in telling myself that, okay, I have been living in this mood for this long time. If it's a good one, it's okay, I can continue. If it's not, let me not invest in it anymore. So basically, the mood that I am living in is a result of the thoughts, the feelings, and the responses that I have been creating. So when I start working on my thoughts and when I start working on my feelings, I'm able to work on my mood. Working on my thoughts and feelings and emotions is the basis or the foundation for having a good mood. Now, there are two different things. Emotions and mood are two different things. Emotions are very spontaneous. They are like in a minute response, and they are generally triggered. There are triggers, there are stimuli that trigger the emotion in us. And mood is more like a bigger space. There can be different emotions in a mood, whereas emotion is short time. Its life is quite short. I can experience an emotion for some seconds to few minutes, but mood can extend for a day. It could be sometimes days. So what I'm trying to tell you is that if you are looking for changing the mood, the first thing or the doable aspect of that is to start working on the emotions. And if I want to work on the emotions, the ideal way is to start working on the thoughts, because that is where I can really work. The other aspects would be very theoretical and would be very nice to listen to. The other aspects could be very romantic to listen to. But when in reality you come down, the mind starts wondering, like, where do I start then? So the starting point has to be the one that can really make a difference. And that one point is the thoughts. So I would give you few examples where you would realize like how these thoughts could be transformed in our own favor. For example, there was a group of pianists who were provided a certain music note to learn and to play. And some of them were playing it on a real keyboard. All of them were playing on a real keyboard, and scientists were watching their brain patterns, what was happening in their brain. So after a certain point of time, the scientists divided the group into two. One group was allowed to play the real piano, and another group was allowed to play the piano in the mind, because then now they have practiced it for so long, so it is imprinted in their mind. So the scientists were shocked to see the brain patterns or the impact on the brain was similar in both the cases, whether it was the group that was playing the real piano or the one that was just remembering how they would play, how would the music impact on them when they're playing. So this is an example where we can understand that what we are thinking, because the second group was not playing actually, the second group was literally thinking that they are playing. So what they were doing is they were creating thoughts, and these thoughts were creating an impact on the matter. The brain is a solid thing, it's a matter. If we go into some other examples, you would find examples like there are many such researches where uh, uh, 86 students in a college were put under a scrutiny, where they were shown visuals, positive visuals, negative visuals, neutral visuals, and they were given some questions after watching those visuals to reflect upon the solution. And they saw that when the students were being shown neutral visuals or visuals that really did not mean anything, but then visuals that were very negative and very dark, and then when they were shown the visuals which were more positive, what was happening was the impact of their decision making was different. They were able to make better decisions, faster decisions, and more sustainable decisions when they were given inputs which were positive. So, undoing the pattern of thinking was more possible when there were inputs which were positive. Another example is where Dr. Masaru Emoto did this experimentation with water. So, many of us might know that the water has a hexagonal structure. And so what he did, he went to the Fujiwara Dam. He's from Japan, and he took water from the Fujiwara Dam and he crystallized it and tried to study the structure of water under different circumstances. So some circumstances where people would come and just pray in front of that water. In some circumstances, there were negative words written on the water, so which they would read and then they'll just go. So some bottles were labeled as thank you, kindness, gratefulness. Some water bottles were labeled as I hate you, I want to kill you, I don't like you. And so after a group of people have already visited them, when the scientist again looked into the microscopic field of the water crystals, he was shocked to see that the water that was projected with the positive words or the positive vibrations of the positive thinking of these people, the crystal structure of water has actually grown into a beautiful pattern. Whereas those water bottle or the water crystals from those bottles which were labeled with negative thoughts or negative incidents had distorted, which means what? That the thoughts that people were projecting had actually led the water crystals to change their basic identity, basic shape. So what happens? Does it stays water or doesn't it stays water? It stays water, but the quality of water, the nutritional capacity of water or the thirst quenching capacity of water goes down or increases. And so these are certain examples where we see the kind of thought we create starts putting an impact on the matter. And this is also used in the medical field where they call it placebo effect, where a patient is just given a sugar pill or just a sugar powder or some kind of no taste powder and told that this is the medicine which will help you recover. And the patient takes it because the patient has faith in the doctor, and that faith starts healing the patient. So what is happening is that very naturally the person is healing themselves, but the faith, the power of faith in them, invested in their doctor or invested in that process or invested in that medicine, has actually helped them recover. So these are certain examples where we see that the power of mind can actually impact the matter. There are certain examples where the matter also impacts the mind. For example, uh, it's a very sad and gloomy atmosphere that I am in. Maybe the office wasn't nice and people in the bus were not good. I didn't get a seat or something. It was not very pleasant. But when I come home, I'm greeted by a very little baby saying welcome, and my mood changes. Or it could be that I step into a temple or a mosque or a church, any sacred place, and I start feeling there's a difference. Or I step into a place where there has been a bad accident or something very negative, I start feeling the difference. So these are the cases where the ambience starts leaving an impact on me. Now, both can be equally powerful. Matter can be equally powerful, and mind can be also very powerful. But the choice is not on matter or on the mind. The choice is in me whether I want to have sovereignty over the mind so that I can have a better experience with matter, or do I let go of my sovereignty and just leave it on how it goes through the flow, going by the flow, whatever happens, I just see that kind of attitude. So the key here is the consciousness. The key here is the awareness, knowing that I am the master of my thoughts, knowing that I am the creator of my thoughts, knowing that I am the person who have chosen my feelings. I am the one who have kept certain feelings closer to me than others. If I know this fact, and if I understand this fact that yes, I am the master, I am the creator, what I am doing is I am taking responsibility back in my hands. And when I am taking this responsibility back in my hands, I have more opportunity to reverse the process if the mood is not good, or to transform the process into a better one. But if I say, oh, what can I do? I am just a person. It's not in my hands. I'm actually becoming a victim, and I'm actually waiting for others to do things around me and tell that, okay, the world is better now, go and live. It doesn't happen this way, because the fact is we cannot change the world. Nobody, none of us, even the most powerful, even the most rich, or a person with the most magical powers also cannot change the world, because I am part of the world. You are part of the world. So if I start working on myself and I change myself, I can change my world, but I can't change the big world. What I can do is probably create an impact in the process of transformation of the world. I can probably contribute in someone else's journey of transformation. I may be able to influence or inspire or impact, but I can never induce a change in someone or in the world. So, what is then doable? The doable aspect is that I can only do all these things to myself. So, how about working on my own thoughts and on my own feelings? So, the mantra is I have to bring this awareness again and again. I might forget it, that's okay. But again, I have to remind myself that I am the creator, I am the master. I have put this box of mood around me. I have collected, kept these specific Legos and attached them and created a box. So now, whether I want to make a beautiful box and live in it, or whether I want to have a unpleasant box and try to fit in it, it's totally my choice. If I have this awareness that I am the master and creator, two things happen instantly. One is I get the confidence that because I am the master, I have the power to change it. Second thing is because I am the creator of this, it's a truth, it's a fact. If I am practicing truth, truth has the power to empower. Truth has the capacity to nourish the soul, nourish the being. So, truth is the nourishment. And if I am practicing truth, any form of truth, any aspect of truth, if I'm practicing that, it is nourishing the being. And as the being inside starts growing with some small truth, what happens is I am feeding the fox, the positive fox, with small truth. The first truth could be I am the creator of my feeling. The second truth could be I can change it if I want to. The third truth could be a bigger and a better one, saying that I am a positive being. I can create many possibilities. Even higher nourishment would be I am a peaceful being. I'm not just peaceful, but I'm powerful. I am peacefully powerful. So the kind of thoughts that I create helps me either to regain my power, to get into that high energy field, or sometimes it also results in depleting of my power. Thoughts like, I am not good enough, I can't do this, maybe it's not possible, why did I put myself into this? These are the thoughts which deplete my energy. Think of such kind of thoughts for 1 minute and then you'll feel like you are tired as if you have done a marathon. And think for just a minute some very beautiful moments of your life, and you created those beautiful moments. You were able to recognize the right energy, the right investment of energy, the right values to put in, the right people to connect with, and you made it possible. And just that 1 minute can uplift you so much. There are so many examples in real life that will tell you how the right kind of thinking helped people to achieve what nobody could. I was recently watching a video of someone called Surya Bonel. She was an ice skater in the Olympics, and she is one of the very few Olympians who had got 9 world champions uh, credit to herself. And she was the only ice skater who was able to do black backflips on ice skating. You know, it's not just normal skating. I can't do it even just sitting like this without, and with skating rollers, it's even more difficult. And doing it in the ice is even more difficult. But what happens is, this story is very important. What happens is, in the ice skating, it is prohibited for the skater to make a backflip. You cannot do it. It's prohibited. Why? I don't know. So she was going through this phase where she was not winning, but she was coming second and sometimes, but she was good at doing it. So while she was giving her performance in the world championship, she asked herself, do I stick to the rules of the game, or do I create a moment here for myself? I would be disqualified, or they might not be happy, but can I do something for which I have come here? She asked herself a very valid question. And the question was, why on the first place I started doing this? And the answer was, I wanted to do this because it gives me joy and it brings joy to people who are watching. And so she asked herself, then by sticking by the rule book, will I be able to achieve that goal, that aim of providing joy to the self and to the onlookers? And she said no. Then the next question was, would you like to take that big risk? And when she was asking this question, the answer came, what are you aiming for? Are you aiming for getting disqualified, this, that, or are you aiming for more joy, more excitement, more cheerfulness, more appreciation? What are your goals? What are your focus? Are you focusing on the bad wolf or are you focusing on the good wolf? And she said, let me do it once and see what happens. So she did the backflip. She landed on the ice perfectly, flawless, and people were like, wow, what just happened? And since then, many ice skaters, world champions, came and went, but everybody remembered her because she took a decision. She reminded herself that the rule book is not going to decide what I am going to feel. The audience is not going to decide what I am going to feel. It is me who would decide what I do will make me feel what I will feel for rest of my life. And so she picked this decision of taking that risk, doing the backflip, and gaining a name to herself which nobody would get. There might be people who would be doing backflips, but they will be always remembered second. The one would whose name becomes immortal with that is this lady. So similarly, it is me who have to ask the right questions to myself and not expect answers from others. It is me who has to take the right calls. And for doing that, it is important to empower the spirit with the truths that will empower me. Any truth empowers. Elevated facts, elevated information, truth, spiritual truth empowers the spirit multi-million times. And that is where the role of spirituality comes. With spiritual understanding or spiritual wisdom, the soul starts to see the difference between what is good and what is right. The soul starts to see the fine line between good and absolutely right. The soul starts to see the difference between what could be good for fewer people and good for many more people. So understanding grows, the wisdom grows. And so the key is reminding the self with the right awareness. And where there is the right awareness, the right kind of thought starts to be created. With the right thoughts, I get to make the right decisions, right choices. And when I make the right choices, right decisions, I create right actions. And with those right actions, I leave the right impact I want to leave. And those impact again reverse, start working on reverse and starts to impact my present day thinking. So if I want to change the mood, I have to start working on the thoughts. And if I want to work on the thoughts, I have to first of all remind myself, who am I? What am I? What I am supposed to do? If I know the answers for these, the answer to changing the mood is very simple. And then mood can become a way to live harmoniously with matter. I wouldn't say over matter because I don't really think that over or winning something is kind of a spiritual concept. I believe spirituality helps us to live in harmony, strike the right balance. Because if I'm saying I want to conquer this over that, conquering vices is good, but not conquering matter because matter is supporting us. water is supporting us, air is supporting us, land is supporting us. So I would definitely like to frame it in this way: mood, living with harmony on matter. So with that note, I would leave you to churn on it, reflect on it, and if you have any questions, I would happy to take them. You can write them on the chat box, or you can ask them, or I don't know how, Jagiba, you decide.
No, that's okay. But while thinking about the question, thank you so much for this information. I still find it very interesting, understanding the connection between, the mood and matter. And I liked the one point that truth has the power to empower. That is a real takeaway, truth has the power to empower. And, there's so much we could put into that, just in that one statement, because everything is based on the truth. Now, let's just turn it around and say it's the untruth. So what happens now? It's that negativity that's going to come up. Am I right? So I found that very interesting. But please, you could post on the chat box, or you could unmute and let's ask Brother further questions. It was a very interesting talk. And I like
When you shared about the truth, I also a few days back I was doing another talk, and one of the person in the talk mentioned that truth deserves dignity, deserves regard, and that made me think that if I am not feeling good about myself at certain point of time, not feeling good is equal to not having respect for myself at that point of time, which means definitely, fundamentally, I have been living a lie for that particular moment. What are those lies that I am basing, or what are those lies that I have been active with? So, if I am with the truth, I would have a high regard for myself. And that's why it is said, if you are with the truth, you will be like sitting like a king, you really don't care whether people believe you or not, because you have that royalty that comes in you very naturally when you are with the truth. And that is why truth brings in a lot of power, and with that power comes a lot of dignity.
lovely, wonderful. I normally just go alphabetically, and if I see a nice name, then I ask the person, do you want to ask the question? Should I do that? and that I'll get you on the spot, eh? So I think I'm going to do that. Let's see. Carol Peterson, you want to ask the question?
It's a lovely talk, brother. Today I had some old karmic debt to settle, and I started the process of settling it. That's to do with money, and I wasn't aware that owing this money was affecting my peace. And so today I started the process of settling this, but it actually, in one way, it was liberating, but in another way, I'm extremely exhausted. Like I've had to unravel myself to get to the knots I made in my life a very, very long time ago. So is that okay?
Yeah, I think it's very much okay. It's very normal, because when you want to start transforming something, whether it's a debt, whether it's a carry forward that you are taking forward, whether it's the past thing, whenever I'm trying to transform it, it would not be an easy process, because we don't know how deep it is, first of all. And it's not just about debt of money. We see money tangibly in front. You see, money is again a matter that has a lot of impact on the mood. So what are actually money? They are just papers or metal coins. But it is the value that we associate with matter that triggers experiences in us. So money is a form that can create a lot of debt, but there are debts of feelings. I might carry a lot of emotional debt with someone. I might have emotional debt. I might have financial debt. I might have social responsibility in terms of debt to the community that I'm living. There can be many deep forms of debt. When I'm trying to start to work on them, it can be a very easy process depending on how deep it is, and it can be a very hard process also, like the iceberg. The icebergs are just 1/9 on top, but the 8/9 of it is below the water, and you don't know how far you have to work. But the feeling that you said, that when I was working on it, it was tiring and but also liberating. So what is happening is you are facing this tiring experience of yours is a result because you are facing it for the first time, and you're facing probably a big giant. But the liberating experience of yours is the investment that you have to consciously make the next time you have to face it. Because next time you will be given this two choice. Would you like to do it again because it was very tiring? And then the second wolf would say, but it was very liberating also. So what would you like to do, Carol? So then Carol has to feed one of the wolves. Feeding one of the wolves means to choose one of them. If you choose, oh, it was very tiring, so I should not do it, you didn't work on the iceberg and it stayed like that. Today, tomorrow, someday later, it would again come back. But if you decided to work with the next wolf saying, okay, it was tiring, but at least I felt very liberated, let me work on it. So this conscious choice of yours would empower you, and you will get the boost to work more on it. And after a certain experiments with it, you will start feeling it's easy. It's just going to go off. So it's totally fine to experience both the things. Life is not about from point A to point B, you go like this. No, it's always ups and downs. That's natural. Nothing in nature is straight. It's all in wave patterns. So if it is in wave pattern, you'll always have a peak and you'll always have a pitch. It is possible that I'm facing a pitch time right now, but when I'm facing a pitch time, it is also evident that after this pitch, there would be a peak. But if I just believe that this pitch is the only pitch I'm going to experience, that's false. And that's why I'm not feeling empowered. But if I remember the truth that after every pitch, there is a peak. So I would wait for that peak. I would long for that peak. And that enthusiasm, that zeal would let me live longer. So it is ups and downs, but make sure that ups and downs is not flat, that ups and downs should grow. Even if there are ups and downs, the entire graph should grow, and it should not go straight, or not should go down. Down is not possible. Straight is quite possible, and we should avoid it. It should grow. But with the ups and downs is fine.
Thank you. I'm waiting for the peak. I'm excited about the peak. That's why I did it in the first place, because I was just tired of being in this mood of something bothering me. Thank you,
And
brother.
thank you. So you are approaching the peak, and so the peak is also waiting for you.
Oh, lovely.
I see somebody's hand, Galaxy A72018.
Om Shanti, brother.
Om Shanti.
Beautiful talk. For me, the outstanding thing that you said was mood you get into, like an envelope you get into. That was very profound for me. If you're getting into something, that means you can get out of it very quickly, as easily as you went into it. So I think that really struck with me, and I'm able to carry, because as soon as we realize our mood is dipping or something is happening, we in it. So we need to get out of it. And I also think it's your attitude. Like I was the one that said I had a very busy day. Although it was busy, I knew I had a lot of things to do. I was just being in the moment, enjoying each thing that I was doing. So the day went very beautifully, because that was my mood. It was my mood that I got into to decide to actually do that. And it went very pleasantly. Thank you.
Congratulations. And I think you picked the very right sentence that sometimes we just don't see what we are talking to ourselves. If we just consider for some time and focus on the language that we use while we talk to ourselves, that language itself would tell us whether it is going to help us or not. So it is very important to see the kind of language, the choices of words that I use when I speak with myself. If I give you an example, give me a name of a very spiritual person or a very great leader who never had a good language. You'll never come across an example. You take it Mahatma Gandhi, you talk about Mother Teresa, you talk about Nelson Mandela, you talk about Rumi, you talk about Kabir Das. There are so many prophets and so many spiritual leaders. You will always find the magic is in their words. And so the words they use to share the magic of their thoughts to the world is basically the words that they are using for themselves also. So if I just check my sentences that I'm using while I'm talking to myself, if I just have a more keen eye on what I am saying, what the words I'm using, my vocabulary, I'll be able to figure out the points where I can work. Saying I am not feeling good is one kind of statement. Another is, oh, I'm having this feeling that I'm not feeling good. So the moment I say I'm not feeling good, it is like I'm giving a statement, I'm not feeling good, and nothing could be done about it. But when I'm saying I am having this feeling or I'm having this thought that I'm not feeling good. So when I am having it, I can also not have it. So the liberty or the possibility is totally in our hands, but also very consciously when we start looking into the kind of language that we use when we are talking to ourselves. When we are reporting an issue to myself, when I'm reporting an issue to somebody else, what kind of language am I using? That is very crucial. Yeah, I think Masake wrote, I take from the discussion that I must be mindful of what I think, whether within people or by myself, because what I think creates an energy that will surround me and others may be affected by it. Maybe it's not, it's definitely going to affect people, and others may be affected by it. Thus, choosing to be happy and peaceful always would impact my relations positively. Absolutely. It will first of all change the relationship that I have with myself. For a very long time, I never had a good relationship with myself. And that's why we wanted to achieve the kind of things that I was not experiencing from others. And when others couldn't give it, we started looking for above. And when we didn't know from which above, who above is going to pour that experience on me, we became miserable. And so the spiritual wisdom says, first have love for the self, have a better relationship with the self, know yourself. Only then you'll be able to communicate with others because the understanding is now clear. It's more profound because it is very honest and true. So,
Thanks for that. Maybe I'll just pose another question. How do we manage the right kind of thinking? Because the mind, we have those mood swings all the time. How do we manage the right kind of thinking?
manage is a very safe word, and I appreciate the use of that word because sometimes people also put the question saying, how do I keep my mood good always? So it's a very ambitious thought and not a very practical one. It is like I am creating a box around me saying that I should never come out of this good mood. And it is like having an expectation that my good mood should not go away. However, let's keep it an open-ended conversation saying that even if my mood is good right now, there are possibilities for it to experience exams, test papers. Even if there are challenges, can I hold on to my good mood then? Can I hold on to the right kind of thinking at that point of time? So the question of how to manage my thoughts or how to manage my mood, the answer would be to first ask myself, am I ready to fail in this management exercise? Because sometimes even before starting to apply or even before trying, I am already, locking myself with a result that I would only try if it has to happen nicely. I'm not ready for failures. I'm not ready to say, for example, I want to mend my relationship with Jaggi and I want to have a better conversation with him. But I'm saying I would only try if he's ready to, listen. So what I have already done is I have created a box and put it around Jaggi, saying that Jaggi, you have to listen to me. That is the that is a parameter that I have fixed for this conversation to happen. And this is the kind of an expectation. How about looking it in a different way? Saying that, okay, me and Jaggi don't have a very good relationship, and I can see Jaggi is not interested in mending it. Can I take the first step in approaching in a different way? Can I take the first step in opening the conversation? It might go in the positive direction, it can go even worse. But can I be brave enough to start the conversation without any expectation? So what happens here is when I am not creating an expectation, I am more liberated in my initiatives. And when I am not having expectations, I am not colored in my vision. And so I am able to receive anything that Jaggi says in a more rational manner. But if I have an expectation that I did this work, I started the conversation, why isn't she listening? The question of why not comes because I have already fixated a result for myself. And as I said in the beginning, we cannot change people, we cannot change situations, we can only change our understanding around it. So if I did all my best to mend the situation, and if it still doesn't work, at least I should be able to say, I tried my best. And in doing so, I empowered the second wolf. I empowered the wolf that I wanted to empower. So it is in the choice, it is in the key that if I want to manage my thoughts, am I ready to face failures? If I'm ready to face failures, then managing my thoughts would be easier. If I'm not ready to face failures, I would not be really experimental with my thoughts. Many people want to meditate, but when they want to meditate, they first think, I have heard it's very difficult. I think it is not possible. I know I am a very, extrovert kind of person. Sitting quietly for 5 minutes is difficult for me. So what they are trying to do is they are kind of cementing the box around them, which was quite fragile. It was maybe one experience, two experience of meditation that didn't work out, but they kind of started making it, foster it into a cemented box or maybe a lead box that cannot be, broken. So there is no scope at all. So but if I open a simple door saying that, okay, I didn't had good experience in meditating 10 times, maybe the 11th time I might have some experience, let me try. So if I am ready to surprises, if I'm ready to experience loss, I would not be bothered with a negative feeling also, because that would leave me with a lesson. But if I have fixed my mind saying that I always have to aim for the best, aim for the best, I only have to achieve success, what I'm doing is I am fixating myself with success, which is again attachment. So being detached is the key. And to be able to be detached is again with the power of truth. We are attached only to things which are temporary. Things that are eternal, we are never ever afraid of losing them. So things that are temporary are false, and attachment comes with falsehood. So if I am connected with the truth, whether it's my spiritual inner truth or it is the spiritual truth of the divine that I'm connected with, or the spiritual truth of the brotherhood that I share with people around me, any truth that I'm connected with will empower me. But if I am attached to something, it means there is something that is false, negative, and that would definitely bring me down. So the first idea is to see where my attachment is. Second is to see if I'm ready to experiment and face some kind of ups and downs. And third is to be perseverant. Keep on going, whether it happens in once or twice, keep doing it. It's not an overnight thing. So mood is, as I told, is not instant. So mood is more about a atmosphere that I've created in a long time. So I want to change it. I have to work for some amount of time.
Yeah, thank you for that. Could we take one more question?
Oh, up to you.
Yeah, we can take one more question before we close the session. Just checking if anyone's hands up. Okay, let's
Hi.
ask. Yes.
It's Ishana speaking. Sorry to disturb. I just want to find out, what is your opinion on a person with bipolar mood disorder?
You are asking me for an opinion. I see there is no point of making an opinion because you already know that person has this, right?
Okay, it's
So,
me. I
yeah,
have bipolar mood disorder, so
so
my moods fluctuate during the day. And as far as I try, I don't snap at people. I keep quiet and I internalize it to the point of it affects me really badly. And I get very depressed about it because I was like, I should have said this, or I should have done this. I should have stood up for myself, but I don't do that. I'm more very quiet about it. I'm talking about the work at work or with certain people at home. So how do I'm on medication and all of that, but some days it doesn't help. The medication don't help. The weather affects it. People that yeah, the whole mood thing. So I just want to know, what is your thoughts maybe?
I think first thing that you have done very brave is to recognize it. It is one of the battles that you have already won. So first of all, congratulations for that. Because I understand there are many people who are facing these kind of turmoils deeply, but they really don't recognize it. And the person who has recognized it has already won half the battle. Now the remaining half, for that you are taking medications, you are taking proper guidance from your people around, which is all good. But then there is one thing which is very overlooked sometimes, or underlooked, I would also say. Sometimes people think that medicines or consultations or talking to people would help us. It could be a consultation also, might help me. But the fact is that the consultation I am doing with myself is more important than the 1 hour consultation I did with my psychiatrist or the therapist that I have met. Because that therapist has a limited experiences of me. He knows me as much I have told that person. Rest of that comes from his understanding, his wisdom, his studies, his experiences, his observation. But what about the conversation that I do with myself most of the time? I am the one who know myself the best. So the most underlooked aspect of recovery in terms of mental well-being is the conversation and the quality of conversation that I have with myself. Second thing is the conversation with some permanent resource. I'm not talking about resources which are like a great friend or a spiritual guide or a guru or a nice movie or a very uplifting book that I read. These are all very temporary because they would leave me with a kind of an emotion which is quite uplifting, but not necessarily empowering enough to face the problems which I have to face all by myself. And for that particular case, where we overlook the situation is that we don't look above. There is this source of all possibilities. I would call him the force. The force is there. Am I giving him the chance to come and intervene in my situation? And to be able to do that, I first have to let go of any kind of thoughts that what if it doesn't work? Will it really work? And these kind of things. I have to let go of that and simply surrender to that force, saying that, see, what I can do, I'm going to do it. I will promise that I'll do it, and I'm doing it. But I know you also have a role in this. So please do it. When you are in this kind of a conversation with that force, what starts happening is you have a pillow to relax back. Even if my personal intense effort are not working, at least I have a shoulder to relax on. Sometimes we just miss that shoulder, and sometimes we kind of make those shoulders as human beings and people, and few activities. I'm not feeling good, so I will do this, and after I finish that doing, I'm back to this. So what I'm trying to suggest you is here to first of all start having a qualitative and a better conversation with the self, a very compassionate conversation with the self. And second is to connect with the force and make him your constant companion. Make him your pillow that you can really jump on. Make him the big mattress on which you, even if you fall, you are safe. And even if you fall, you'll even be lifted up. There's a mattress where children play. So even if they are falling, they are jumping high. They don't fall and sink. Whereas others can be mattresses which doesn't have that much of resilience. This mattress that I'm talking about is the best one. So have these two things. Do a compassionate conversation with the self and look for the most constant and most possible companion, the force. Try to bring these two aspects, and I'm sure everything else that you are doing would support in this process. And our good wishes will always help.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you for that. It's such so good energy in the session, and maybe we could have another session sometime, just talking about this, because it's not your normal talk of the day. I noticed there's one question, because we ran out of time now. There's one question on the chat in terms of the subconscious mind. That maybe we could, maybe in your closing points, brother, you could just touch on that. How can we control our subconscious mind? So as your closing point.
If I have to respond to this question in detail, it would take time. But if I have to just simplify it, I would say, don't think so detailed, conscious, subconscious, this, that. It's too much detail. Simply ask yourself at any point of time, like right now, ask yourself how I am feeling and be very honest. People use the word brutally honest, but I don't agree. Honesty cannot be brutal. It can be strong and affirmative, but it cannot be brutal because it is ultimately for the sake of bringing benefit. So I would say be very assertive and very honest and ask yourself, how do I feel now? If I am feeling good, then it's okay, move on. But if I am not feeling little bit of good, slight, ask yourself why. And the more I practice honesty, the answers to why would come very naturally. I don't have to dig deep. And to do that, as you said, that should we are lacking power which we can only accumulate from remembering God. That is one aspect. Remembering God is the easiest way to empower ourselves, because it is like you can charge your mobile with a small capacity power bank, and you can charge your mobile from the direct current that you're getting. So it is a source that you choose will empower your battery and will empower for certain amount of time. So when you connect with God, it becomes sustainable, it becomes possible, and it becomes powerful for a very long time. But then the question is, when I'm asking these questions, little questions, it doesn't have to be a traffic control. It can be after writing that email, just before hitting the send button, just ask yourself, let me read this and see how I feel. Because how I feel would be also the feeling of the person who reads it. It could be even bad reaction to this email because he might be going through so many things. So let me just read it and then send a hit button. After having a telephonic conversation, I can just ask myself, okay, how was that call? What did I gain from this? Just asking these right questions will land us onto the right answers. I have always found it that the wise people ask the right questions at the right time, and only then they are provided the right answers. If I am asking the right answers, right questions at the wrong time, I would not get right answers. If I am asking wrong questions at the right time, I am still not going to get answers. The right question at the right time will bring right answer. So how do I practice asking right questions? Is with little things. After having one bite of food, don't just go for another one. Ask yourself this micro millisecond question: how is this morsel of food? Am I thankful for it? Am I enjoying it? Am I appreciative of this? So being mindful of these micro expressions is very important to be able to manage the macro expressions or the bigger situations. So it starts with this little questioning, and with that, I would probably invite you to a little experience where I can maybe guide you with this little meditation, and we would ask this question here, and maybe we'll get an answer also, which you can practice.
Okay, I see also, we definitely want to have another session, but yeah, because of time, and we want to close the session. So thank you so much, Brother Shantanu, for sharing this knowledge with us. I'm saying in this day and age, we need to assess this, especially mood over matter. And I like the closing statement that you've given, connecting with God and remembering God. So that is so powerful. So thank you for that. I'm not sure whether you would go through a meditation or we're going to play the meditation music in the background.
I think I'll just give few thoughts for us to churn on, and that could be the basic base. Is that okay?
Perfect.
So what I would request you is to just focus your gaze at some point. It could be on the screen, it could be somewhere, or you may just close your eyes, whichever is good for you. Take a deep breath and relax. The first sign of relaxation is the posture that your body is having. Relax shoulders, relax spine, stability in the fingers. Just observe your body. Observe your breathing. Mindfully breathe slowly. Now ask yourself the same question that we asked early in the hour. How was my day today? There might come many answers. Choose wisely to focus all your energy into that experience which you would like to have again. If it's an experience that I want to repeat for myself, let me just visualize it again clearly, vividly, reassuring myself I affirm this is the aspect that I would like to strengthen more. I value my power of recognition. I value my honesty. I have value for myself because I am precious. I am unique. I am the star of my own life. And I am the star of the eyes of the force above, the ocean of unconditional love, the ocean of support, care, and nurturing. I have everything that I need. I experience abundance now in this moment. Situations may change in the future, but that's okay. Right now, with His light, I experience abundance. I have everything that I need. I am content, so I am powerful. Om Shanti. Thank you so much.
Om Shanti. And thank you everyone for joining this evening session. Once again, thank you, Brother Shantanu. It's been a pleasure
Thank
having
you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a nice time.